Hi everyone, it's Victoria Carter and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to talk about how to make the most out of your writing. So before we get into it, just hit that like button, comment down below, subscribe if you haven't. I put out videos 3 times a week, and if you're new here, welcome. I'm glad to have you. So first of all, to make the most out of your writing, and this is completely my own experience and my own opinion, and if you're gonna look this up, you're gonna find a lot of different opinions. So if this works for you, awesome, and if it doesn't, then, maybe it'll work for you at a different time in your life. So the number one thing I know when I'm trying to make the most out of my writing is to write down goals. So what I used to do is I used to say, I need to write every day, or I need to write 1,000 words every day. And oftentimes I would meet that goal, but I still felt unsatisfied with my writing because it wasn't specific enough. So if anyone out there is very familiar with writing down goals or keeping goals in like your planner, then writing goals that are very vague, like write every day. I think that's a good goal if you're starting out writing and you're trying to gain momentum so that you can continue doing it. I think that's fine. But as far as like trying to do it for a living or trying to create lots of books, like maybe write 2 books in a year, write every day or write this many words isn't necessarily going to work. So break down your goals. Break it down to write an emotional scene between character A and character B, and make sure these points are in that scene. And then if you hyper-focus on that scene and hyper-focus on making sure that you're matching what your goal says, that scene is going to come out a lot cleaner. It's going to come out, in my opinion, like when I've done it like that, it comes out much more smooth and beautiful, and I'm really proud of it. And then when I get to the editing phase, I don't feel like I have to tweak it nearly as much. It's like I have to tweak the stuff around it, but that scene that I hyper focused on and made sure it fit what I wanted, it was much more emotionally satisfying to me. So, that's one goal that you need to set when you're trying to make the most out of your writing. The next thing you need to do to make the most out of your writing is make sure that you are planning your writing at opportune times for you. If it's not working out because you're planning it in the middle of dinner when there's a lot of people around, maybe you need to change what time you're doing it at. Maybe you have to wake up earlier, or you have to stay up later, or maybe you have to write in your car before work. I did that. It works, guys. So whatever you need to do to fit it into your schedule in a way that you can make the most out of your time. So the third thing you need to do is find out how long you can write for that's going to be beneficial. And what I mean by that is I feel like anyone can pretty much sit down and type like words, but the purpose of doing it, of writing a story that you're going to be proud of, is writing words that are going to matter. Now, I'm a firm believer in Draft Zero. Sorry about the sun, guys. I'm a firm believer in Draft Zero. I'm a firm believer in just like write it all down and edit it later. But with that same token, you still want to make it not a dumpster fire. And I used to make mine like a dumpster fire. So a way to avoid this is to find out what your optimal working time is. So for me, I started writing every day, and I gave myself an hour. And I found out I could write around 2K, give or take, depending on the day, around 2K in an hour every day that I sat down to do it. And this is no distractions, no internet. Well, I used Google Drive, but no other internet, no phone, like everything was away from me that was going to bother me. And I sat down and I wrote. And I found that as I got nearing that hour mark, I was frustrated because I could still feel the momentum. Because at the very beginning when I started, I was like, okay, I just have to type words, and hopefully it'll all come together. And then as I started like getting closer into like half an hour, 45 minutes, the words would really start coming, and then the hour mark would come, and I'd be really frustrated because I could feel the momentum and feel the creative energy, and I wasn't like using it because my hour was up. And so I found out, okay, I can push myself longer than an hour. So how long can I push myself for? And so I found a way where I could have a longer block of time to write. And like I said, this is going to depend on you and what fits your schedule. And, maybe this won't work for you right now, but maybe in the future it will. But for me, I found that if I'm given like a big block of time, I think I had a weekend one time where I had like 6 or 7 hours to myself to write, and I was really surprised because I was like, oh yeah, I write 2K in an hour. That means if I have 6 hours to write, I'm gonna write, like double that, like whatever, like at least 10K, and I was super excited for that. And then when that came, I found that I was more exhausted a lot earlier, and I didn't want to write that whole amount of time because I was so burnt out. So this is why I'm talking about like finding out what is your optimal amount of time. So what I have found for me is 2 hours is the maximum amount of time I can write. And what I'm writing is something I'm going to be proud of. And I'm not just like throwing up words onto the computer. I'm actually like writing things that matter. So I find that like an hour and a half is like my peak, and I'm doing super awesome. And then after that hour and a half, I can slowly feel my energy go woo, and I start to crash. And at the 2 hour mark, boom, I'm done. I'm like, I have to get off this computer. I have to. Which leads me into the next thing, which is taking breaks. So the optimal way to take breaks to recharge yourself for more creative energy use. And this works really well also if you're trying to like build up your creative energy right before you sit down to write. This has worked really well for me. So there's a couple things I do. Number one, I read. Sometimes it's better if you read fan fiction, in my opinion, because when I read fan fiction, I tend to find things I don't like that the author's doing that I want to do better, or I want to fix, or like I want to edit it. And that actually fuels me into wanting to like write my own story and be like, I'm going to write better than this. Not that I'm better than a lot of fan fiction writers, but the ones I like reading are those ones. Because they fuel me creatively, and I love it. Then the other thing I do is work out your body, because using creative energy is very mental. It's a lot like having a complex math problem in front of you and trying to figure it out and trying to decipher it. And if you're being bombarded by lots of distractions and lots of issues around you, like it's going to be harder to solve that math problem. So a way to recharge yourself is to do something physical. So I would suggest going on a walk. I would suggest doing yoga. I would suggest that you use your body in a way that you're exercising yourself, but not overdoing it. And then when you sit down to write, you've recharged your creative well. So optimally, what I would like to do is write for 2 hours, take like a 30-minute break or a 45-minute break, which is like a walk or yoga, and then go back and write for 2 more hours. And I don't get that all the time in my everyday life, but I do get that sometimes. And so I would just say to you guys, like, if these help you, comment down below. And if you have any other tips, I'd love to hear them. And these might not work for you, but I hope that they do. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.